Stephanie Meyer, what were you smoking when you wrote this? Hey, what's up you guys, it's me Luke and welcome back to another video, or if you're new here, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I post commentary videos on influencers, celebrities, TV shows, and movies, so if any of that interests you, then be sure to go ahead and click that subscribe button and turn on the post notifications bell so you never miss another upload from me. If you're unaware, I am doing a commentary series on the Twilight films, revisiting them a decade later and discussing all of the interesting, strange, cringy, and surprising things that I discover. So if you have not already checked out my previous videos on Twilight, New Moon, and Eclipse, I will link them down below in a playlist for you to catch up on. But today we are entering Breaking Dawn Part 1, arguably the most traumatic film in the franchise. I am excited and nervous to do this video because there are some themes that are touched on in here that are a little jarring. So without further ado, let's get into it because I'm about to dive in to Breaking Dawn Part 1. So after a beautiful title sequence, we get a scene with our least favorite character, or at least mine, Jacob Black. He gets Bella and Edward's wedding invitation and he storms off, turns into a wolf, and runs away because he still hasn't got over the fact that Bella did not choose him and chose Edward instead, as if he had a chance in the first place. Then we cut to Bella walking in a pair of heels. We've never seen her walk in heels before. She's not like the other girls. You wear high heels, I wear sneakers. That kind of vibe, you know? So Bella's thinking that it's a bit much, the dress, the shoes, all of this, and we get a little shot of the Cullens creating the wedding. It looks stunning. It's very much giving fairy, goddess, wedding vibe energy in the forest. So then we get our Bella and Edward moment to begin the movie. They're in Bella's bedroom and he's just checking for cold feet and she's all, my feet are toasty warm. Unlike you, you fucking ice block. And he says it's not too late to change her mind and Bella says, what are you having second thoughts now? Edward's always like, are you sure you can change your mind? Back and forth, back and forth. They are constantly doubting each other. But then Edward says something so stupid. He says, I've been waiting to marry you a century, Miss Swan. You've known her 3 years. Let's not be dramatic. And then he says he hasn't told her everything about himself and she says, what, you're not a virgin? Are you honestly telling me that Edward went 109 years with not having sex? Boy, is that even living? Penelope, what are you doing? You're making so much noise. So then he tells Bella a little story about how when Carl first turned to him, he rebelled against him and didn't want to feed on animals. He wanted a taste of that human blood. So he went and killed a bunch of people. However, the people he did kill were all murderers and rapists and horrible people. And Bella said, you probably saved more lives than you took. And he's all, they're still humans though. Not all humans deserve to live. But the whole reason he's telling Bella this story is because he wants him to know what he's capable of and what she'll be capable of. And she's still like, are you seriously still wanting me to change my mind? And he's like, yeah, I just want you to think about yourself. It's like, come on, you're gonna get married to her and you're still not gonna turn her into a vampire. I'm sick of this narrative, Edward. Penelope, get down from there. I'm gonna kick you out of here. Say goodbye, because you are leaving the room. I told you, if you wanted to be in here, you had to behave. And she's, you know, hyping him up, basically saying, I could do this. You did it. If you were capable of it, so am I. You know, you need to give yourself more credit. So basically, she's just eating his ass to make him feel better because Edward's clearly insecure about who he is. So they're just kissing and Jasper and Emmett come for Edward's bachelor party. They're jumping all over the house. Bella's like, will there be strippers? I don't know why she's all of a sudden asking him if he's lied about being a virgin, if there's gonna be strippers at his bachelorette party. Like, why is Twilight getting a little saucy all of a sudden? But no, he says there'll probably just be a couple mountain lions. And she tells him and Jasper and Emmett to go before they break his house. Do you want to come inside? Is that it? Because you're annoying me. Oh, now you want a belly rub. Nah, not from me. What, I just let you in again and now you want to go out? I'm sick of your ginger nonsense. So then we get a scene where Bella's in a wedding dress. She's walking down the aisle. Everyone's wearing white. It's very bizarre. There's like red petals everywhere. It's a nightmare, we can tell, because the people who are officiating the wedding are the Volturi. And all of a sudden we zoom down and Bella and Edward are on a pile of dead bodies covered in blood. And it's all the people who are the guests at her wedding. So why all of a sudden is Twilight going down like a horror storyline here? And this isn't even as scary as it gets throughout the film, but we're taking a dark turn. Does this still have a PG-13 rating? So then Alice is doing Bella's makeup. Rosalie's doing Bella's hair. We love the girlies getting along. And Rosalie tells Bella, you know, I'm not offended by your choice of groom. And Bella says, just my blatant lack of respect for mortality. So then Bella's mom comes in and she's gushing over Bella's appearance. And so does Charlie. Charlie's looking like a zaddy. I do say that. He even says, I know, I look hot. We love a self-aware king. And they give Bella a little gift to put in her hair that's something blue, something barred, a little pin. And her mom says, you know, you can pass it down to your daughter and then her daughter, which is supposed to be sad because we know the audience that Bella's turning into a vampire and she should not be allowed to have children, one would think. So then we enter the wedding and we get the human friends from high school. We've got Anna Kendrick saying, do you think Bella's going to be showing? And Angela saying, Jess, she's not pregnant. And Jessica says, who else gets married at 18? Once again, predicting the future, heavy foreshadowing. So Bella's walking down the aisle with Charlie. It's a really cute moment. And I want to say she looks gorgeous. I love this wedding dress. Like, I'm loving the lace detail on the back. I'm loving all of it. My only critique is I'm not like obsessed with her hair. I feel like they could have done something a little more interesting. I'm not obsessed with the dark eye. I would have preferred like some gold up in there. I'm not like obsessed with what's going on up here, but the dress, gorge. Something I haven't really addressed, but why do these vampires who aren't really supposed to change that much, their hair changes in every single movie? Like, his hair almost looks like a red. I don't understand why his hair looks so different here. I liked his hair from the first movie, that big coif. So while they're doing their ceremony, we get Flightless Bird playing, which if you've been here since Twilight, you'll know that that was a song playing with Edward and Bella at their prom. So it's a very cute full circle moment. Did you guys see a cat back there? So then they have their kiss, and it is a long one. I don't normally think people have like a full-on makeout at their wedding, but they decided to ignore that cue and just have a full-on makeout sesh, and the camera pans, and it's like nobody's there, which, you know, it's that whole thing like, when it's just the two of you, it feels like you're the only two in the world kind of vibe. It's cute, you know, whatever. The audience cheers, and then we move on to a scene of Jessica being a judgy bitch yet again, saying that she thought the cake would have been bigger. Girl, that cake is bigger than you. I think it's big enough. And Alice is all like, oh, do you like everything? You don't think it's too much? And they're like, no, it's great, it's great. Like, being real fake. I don't know why all of a sudden, I guess Jessica's always been that way. So Billy Black, Jacob's dad, comes to congratulate Bella on her wedding. And Bella asks if she's heard from him. And he said, I'm sure Jake wishes you the best. No, I'm sure he doesn't. He's a salty little bitch. Penelope, why would you think that's edible? So then we meet some other vamps. We got these golden girlies. They are named Tanya and Kate, and they are the cousins to the Cullens. I guess everyone in this vampire world's like adoptive everything. Do they just decide that they're cousins? Whatever. Next one. You're out of here. That's it. You're out of here. You are just a naughty little poopy head. So we meet another one of the cousins, Irina. Keep this bitch in mind. She makes an appearance in the next film, does some whack-ass shit. She says she can't do this because, like, her lover, Laurent, you know, was killed by the wolves, and there's some wolves here. And Edward's saying he tried to kill Bella, Irina, and she's like, I don't believe that. He wanted to be like us, to live in peace with the humans. Okay, well then why was he trying to kill a human? Girl, delusional. So then we get into the speeches, which I actually kind of love this part. Emmett's saying a double meaning speech where he's like, Bella, I hope you've gotten enough sleep for these last 18 years because you won't be getting any more for a while, which like the vamps know, because in Twilight the vampires don't sleep, but everybody else is just like, oh, he's making a sex joke. Charlie's visibly uncomfortable, just swigging down that champagne. And then we get Jessica's speech. Oh my god, the speech. She's like, well, Bella was just like everybody else, totally mesmerized by Edward, or the hair, as I call him. So funny, we've never heard her call him that, but that's ridiculous. And then suddenly, Edward's all about Bella, even though she's not the captain of the volleyball team. I'm just kidding. Or the president of the student council. She's like, a girl, it's a wedding. Pack up your jealousy for another day. So then Charlie makes his speech saying, Edward will be a good husband. I know this because I'm a cop. I know things, like how to hunt somebody to the ends of the earth. He knows how to use a gun, which, okay, threaten him in the speech. Interesting. And then her mom sings her a lullaby. It's just like chaos, honestly. I think once these people got the alcohol in them, they just lost it. Edward has his speech. Once again, in classic Edward style, it's very dramatic. He says, it's an extraordinary thing to meet someone who you can bare your soul to, who will accept you for what you are. Interesting that he says what you are instead of who you are. I was in that audience and I didn't know. I would be confused. I've been waiting what seems like a very long time to get beyond what I am. And with Bella, I feel like I can finally begin. So I'd like to propose a toast to my beautiful bride. No measure of time with you will be enough, but let's start with forever. Let's just keep in mind that everybody else in this audience who isn't aware of supernatural beings thinks that these are two 18-year-olds. I'm 22 and I couldn't imagine being this dramatic about someone. And I've been in love, but like this is just a lot. So then after a little bit of wedding dancing where Alice and Jasper show off their chops, Bella goes to get her next wedding gift, which is Jacob. And he said the best man didn't have a tux. Bitch, you can't be a best man. You weren't even at the wedding. So then Bella and Jacob have a little dancey dance moment. And Jacob said, you'd think I'd be used to telling you goodbye by now. This is how I'm gonna remember you. Pink cheeks, 2 left feet, heartbeat. And she says, cause what? Soon I'm gonna be dead to you? And he says, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to appreciate your last night as a human. And she tells him it's not her last night because she didn't want to spend her honeymoon writhing in pain. And Jacob gets really rude and it's like, what's the point? It's not like you're gonna have a real honeymoon with him anyway. And she says it's gonna be as real as an anybody else's. And he says, that's a sick joke. You're joking. Well, you're still human? You can't be serious, Bella. Tell me you're not that stupid. Her sex life is quite literally none of your business, so pack it up. She tells him it's not his business. Good on you, Bella. And he gets really aggressive and he grabs her. Like, why is he always grabbing her? Oh. So Edward and Jacob have a bit of an altercation. Edward's telling him to calm down. Jacob's like, no, you'll kill her. And then the wolves come to like bring Jacob in and calm him down. This man has such an intense temper. So then after that dramatic little episode, Bella and Edward say their goodbyes before their honeymoon. It's like a secret. Edward won't tell her where she's going. She says goodbye and I love you to her mom. The one for her dad is like very intense actually. Charlie's like, it's gonna be strange not having you in the house. You know it'll always be your home. Bella's like, I love you, Dad. Thank you for everything. It's very heart touching. So as Edward and Bella are driving away, they hear a little wolf howling in the distance because we all know Jacob's having a little wolfy tantrum. Can you just imagine, like, every time he gets pissed, he just turns into a wolf and goes and like runs around like a fucking dog. So we enter into Rio de Janeiro. They're in a completely different country. It totally feels like a different movie at this point. So I love that. It's very fun and different. They go on a speedboat out to this island called Al Esme, which is apparently an island that Carlisle Wolf Esme, further developing how freaking rich this man is. And then when they get into the bedroom and see the bed, there's like this awkward silence between the two of them. And Edward says he's gonna go for a swim, but Bella says she needs a few human minutes. You know, she starts doing a few hygienic things like brushing her teeth and shaving her legs. And she notices that all Alice packed for her was a bunch of lingerie, which I think is funny, but also what do you expect, Bella? It's your honeymoon, you gotta get a little sexy. And she's freaking out, but she tells herself not to be a coward and just straight up skinny dip. And her and Edward are kissing in the ocean, and it's really adorable. Like, we haven't seen them in the ocean either. There's a lot of firsts in this movie, okay? And Edward said, I promise we'd try, but if it doesn't work, and she's like, I trust you. So then Sleeping at Lost plays. I love Sleeping at Lost, okay? They're like kissing, they're moaning. Edward starts breaking the fucking bed. I don't understand what happens when a vampire is having sex like that. Do they just get so passionate and into it that their like strength and testosterone takes over? I must say his back, it's giving. So we don't actually get to see much of the sex scene at this point, but when Bella wakes up in the morning, the bed's fucking messed up. Like, he really destroyed that whole room. There's feathers everywhere, and she's having a moment, you know, touching different parts of her body, remembering the night, and we get all these little flashbacks, and it's really adorable. Obviously, it's a PG-13 movie, so we don't get anything that sexy, but beautiful. It's like, I like the way it is. Edward interrupts her, asking her how badly she's hurt, and then we see that there are some bruises on her body, which in normal circumstances would be like, whoa, that's fucked up, abusive, but like, he's a vampire. And also, we know he didn't intend to hurt her. He just like, you know, was so turned on that he hurt her. You know what? I don't know how to talk about this, okay? He's a vampire. Let's move on. So he's like getting all remorseful, saying he's sorry, and Bella's like, don't be, I'm fine. Don't ruin this. And he says he already ruined it. She said, why can't you see how perfectly happy I am? And she's all, I knew this would be tricky, right? I think we did amazing. I mean, it was amazing for me. And he said, that's what you're worried about, that it wasn't good for me? Last night was the best night of my existence. We haven't heard that one before. So then we get this like cute little montage of the honeymoon. They're playing chess, which is funny because chess is on the cover of the book. Bella's showing up in her sexy lingerie. We get Edward smiling, which we never get, and he looks super cute. They're jumping into a waterfall. Don't go chasing waterfalls. And yeah, we just get lots of scenes of Bella in panties, like I just said panties. Underwear, Bella in lingerie, them kissing Edward in shorts, serving skin. Now Bella wakes up and turns out all of it was a dream. She dreamed her fantasy honeymoon and she's like really upset about it and she's like crying and Edward says, why? And she says, because I wanted it to be real. And she tries kissing him and he tells her that he can't and she's just like, please. So they're doing the kissy wissies. We don't get to see it, so I'm guessing they had sex. And then we get to a Jacob scene, which, ugh, like I was enjoying this honeymoon moment, and now we're with Jacob. Bella in a coffin, Charlie seeing her, and Jacob saying maybe they'll say she was in a car crash or she tripped and fell off a cliff. That's not that hard to believe. She's jumped off a cliff before. And he says, at least I'll get one thing out of it, and imagines biting Edward's head off. And Sam's like, no, you won't. The Cullens are not a danger to us or the tribe. And Jacob says, well, he's either gonna kill her or change her. And the tree says, and Sam's all, I say Jacob. This whole like wolf alpha thing, ugh, I would hate to be a wolf. Like having someone in charge of me, fuck you. I don't do well with authority. Why do you think I don't work a traditional job? And Seth is like, you know, if you wanted things different, you should have become alpha. Jacob is like, turning it down seemed like a good idea at the time. And then Leah comes in and says, you know, why don't you just get over it? It's not like you imprinted on her. Kind of glossed over imprinting in my Eclipse video. I basically skipped the scene where Jacob explained it to Bella because it wasn't super relevant to that movie and I wanted to save that nonsense for this video. But I don't understand where Steph Stephanie came up with this. Now, I don't know if it actually comes from the real Quileute tribe, which is an actual tribe over in La Push Beach, who she basically stole their culture and reappropriated it to use for her series, which obviously is problematic. Moving on from that, I don't know if she made this up or not. So she has this imprinting thing, which I just think is so strange because like the concept of it is very bizarre, to fall in love with somebody without your own choosing. It's like taking away the free will from a human being, or a werewolf in this case, to make you be, you know, obsessed with someone essentially and feel like you need to be with them, even though you weren't even interested in them at all. It's just like all of a sudden you just imprint on them. And look what happened with Sam, Leah, and Emily, is Sam completely just ditched Leah for Emily because of his imprinting. It seems like imprinting would cause a lot of issues, which boy oh boy will we get to that, but moving on. And they're looking at the imprintees, and Seth says at least they're happy, and Jacob says none of them belong to themselves anymore, and the sickest part is their genes tell them they're happy about it. And Leah says it's better than being miserable about someone you can't have. At least if you printed on someone, you'd finally forget about Bella. It's time to move on, Jacob. Listen to Leah. Move on to someone your own age. Then Edward leaves. He left a note saying he went hunting, and Bella is cooking some chicken for breakfast, which I literally couldn't think of anything worse. That sounds disgusting. While she's cooking the chicken, she is eating peanut butter. I guess this is supposed to tell us that she's having weird cravings. So she's looking at the chicken and she sees there's blood in it, and then she runs to the toilet and throws up. Edward comes in. She's like, "Don't look at me, Edward." She opens up her bag and sees that there's a giant box of Tampax in there. And it's like, how long have we been here? And realizes that she's late on her period. And she looks in the mirror and thinks that she's pregnant when she literally has a flatter stomach than me. I mean, that's not that hard, but like, come on, her stomach is so flat. And then she feels a kick because apparently you can have something in there that already has a foot when your stomach is as flat as a board. You know what? Science defies this series. Moving on. Then we get a phone call because Alice obviously got a vision of it because Alice knows all. And Bella tells him, "I know it's impossible, but I think I'm pregnant." And then the Portuguese cleaner lady comes to feel Bella's belly and tells her death in Portuguese. So that's uplifting. And Edward says Carla will get that thing out. And Bella's like, thing. So clearly we can already see that her and Edward are on different sides of the divide when it comes to this pregnancy. Things are just super awkward between them, and Bella calls Rosalie when Edward's not there and tells her that she needs her help. So then we cut to Jacob. Billy's saying that Bella called Charlie, saying that they extended their trip because she caught a bug. But Jacob's like, So he goes to the Cohen's house and sees that she's still there, and apparently they came back 2 weeks ago. And then Rosalie is like guarding Bella, and she's like, "Close enough," and Jacob's like, "What's your problem?" So then we see Bella, and Jacob tells her that she looks terrible, which, like, you shouldn't have said that, but yes, she does. She literally looks like she's decomposing. And Jacob asks, "Are you gonna tell me what's wrong with you?" And then she gets up, and Jacob sees this big-ass bruised belly, and he's pissed at Edward, saying, "You did this." And they said, "We didn't even know it was possible." I guess vampires don't use protection, but I guess not many vampires would be sleeping with humans. How does he even have semen in his body? Like, from what we've seen of the other movies, their bodies are like ice. How does he have cum in there? It doesn't even make sense. Oh my god, do you think, like, when vampires in Twilight jizz, it's just like an ice, like a bit of like a mist. Okay, why am I talking about this? Moving on. Apparently the ultrasounds and needles won't penetrate the embryonic sac, so they can't really see what's going in there. And Alice says she can't see it either, and she can't see Bella's future anymore, so it's looking pretty grim. And Carla says they've been researching legends, but there's not much to go on, and it's fast growing and it's really strong. Which, yeah, I mean, 2 weeks, and then the honeymoon was 2 weeks, like 4 weeks, like what this? She's like been pregnant less than a month, and like she looks like she's 7 months pregnant. It's crazy. So Jacob says, "Why haven't you done anything? Take it out of her." And Rosalie says, "This is none of your business, dog." But Esme says, "The fighting isn't good for Bella." And Alice says, "The fetus isn't good for Bella." And then Rose says, "Say the word, Alice. Baby. It's just a little baby." This is where we kind of get into the whole Stephanie Meyer Mormon beliefs. She's obviously pro-life, which I find kind of fucked up in the scenario because Bella is pregnant with a baby that is literally killing her from the inside out. In real life, if a woman was pregnant and like from the beginning of her pregnancy, there was risk of her dying, is it really worth having the child? Like, especially when it's not fully developed or has a brain or heart or anything like that. Look, I don't want to argue abortion, pro-life and all that kind of stuff because no uterus, no opinion, but I am pro-choice, and I think that this is kind of a pro-life propaganda narrative, and it's kind of like disguised under like Bella loving her baby so much that she wants to like give it life and then die in the process. Like, I'm not loving the undertones of it, but let's move on. So Jacob tells Carla that he's got to do something, and Bella says no, it's not his decision, it's not any of yours. You know, Bella deserves to make her own decision, that's fine. Moving on. So Edward goes to have a little chat with Jacob, telling him that Bella thinks that Carlisle can turn her at the last minute, but the possibilities are slight. He has a connection with Bella that Edward doesn't understand, and he needs him to go and talk to her to help change her mind, and if she does die, then he can get what he's always wanted most, which is to kill Edward. Jacob asks Bella what she's thinking, and Bella says she knows it seems like a scary thing, but it's not. It's like a miracle or something. She can feel him. And Jacob says, oh, it's a bouncing baby boy. Should have brought some blue balloons, which is just a really cringy line, but I digress. And Bella says, it's just a guess. When I picture him, I see a boy. We'll see. And he says, you won't. And she says, Jake, I can do this. I'm strong enough. And he says, you can spout that crap to your bloodsucker, but you don't fool me. Every time he says this word, I just can't take him seriously. He says, I can see what that thing's doing to you. It's a killer, Bella. She says, you're wrong. And he says, when you die, what was the point of me loving you, you loving him? How is this right for anyone? Because I sure don't see it. She tells him, everything's gonna be okay. Don't go. And he says, I know how this ends, and I'm not sticking around to watch. So yeah, Jacob's pissed, not respecting Bella's choices. What's fucking new? I kind of get it in this scenario, like no one wants to see someone they love die over something that can be resolved, but it is what it is. And like he does, when he always gets upset, he turns into a wolf and runs away. He's having like visions, he's howling. All the wolves are like, and they all like come together, and we get something that we haven't gotten before in the movies, which is like the wolves talking. I guess it's just us hearing their thoughts, and the sound effect of it is giving Pixar. So they're all like, it's dangerous, monstrosity, it's grown in forest, it's unnatural, an abomination on our land, we can't allow it. And Sam says, we have to protect the tribe. What they've bred won't be able to control its thirst. Every human will be in danger. We must destroy it before it's born. They're like, but you mean kill Bella? Her choice affects us all. And Jacob says, Bella's human, our protection applies to her. And then Leah says, she's dying anyway. And then they have kind of a little wolfy fight. I don't know why the wolves are funny to me, okay? I just can't help it. You turn into a dog, it's funny, okay? And then Sam's are like, you will fight with us, Jacob. And Jacob like is like bowing down, and then all of a sudden he's like, you know what? I'm gonna stand up for myself. I'm gonna be a girl boss in this moment. And he's like, I will not. I am the grandson of Ephraim Black. I am the grandson of the chief. I wasn't born to follow you or anyone else. And then he runs away. So, go you, Jacob. Standing up for yourself. Woo woo. So then Jacob's watching over the Cullens' house, and Seth follows him. They have a bit of pushback because Jacob wants him to leave, but Seth's like, no, I've left Sam. You're not going to make me bow down too. Jacob lets him stay, and then he's like, cool, little two-man pack. And Jacob goes and tells Edward that they're coming for Bella, and Edward says that he won't let her touch him. Kind of interesting, the antagonists in this film are the werewolves. So it's weird how they've like worked together before, but now in this one, they're fighting against them. So now that Leah has joined Jacob and left the pack and told Jacob the plan, Jacob's telling the Cullens, saying that Sam has lost the element of surprise. He's got the place surrounded and he'll wait for an opportunity. And they're all like, he's not going to get through without a fight. And at the same time, Carla doesn't want to break the treaty. And Jacob says the treaty is void, at least in Sam's mind. And Esme says, not in ours. So they say how they haven't hunted for weeks. Y'all, I feel like you need to start breeding squirrels or something in your basement so you can have an easy supply of animal blood. Because like hunting just seems so irritating. Sucks you can't get blood bags for animals. But like I said in my Eclipse video, just blend the meat. Go to a butcher, collect the leftover blood. So we have a little moment with the wolves. They're talking about how they can't hear the other thoughts from the werewolves because they've left the pack. And Jacob's telling Leah how she can't stay here because she hates the Cullens too much. And she says, I just have to follow you. And Jacob's being a dick, when is he not, saying Seth doesn't want you here, neither do I. And Leah's saying being unwanted isn't exactly a new thing for her. But she says she'll stay out of his way, just don't send her back. She can't go back to Sam and be that pathetic ex-girlfriend he can't get away from. Oh, I feel bad for her, but at the same time, I just can't handle how ridiculous the storyline is. She says she wished she could have just imprinted on someone to break the connection. Girl, move. So then Edward is on fucking Yahoo for vampire babies or whatever the fuck, as if he can't just look at all of those books they have scattered around their house or go talk to their tons of vampire friends. He resorts to Yahoo. Did Yahoo sponsor Summit Entertainment to put a feature in here? Because who uses Yahoo? That's what I want to know. So then Bella Willa's ribs are getting broken by the baby, but there is a silver lining. There's no splinters. Imagine having something living inside of you trying to break out of you. That's literally a horror movie. So Edward's real pissed. He's like, it's breaking her bones now. It's crushing you from the inside out. And Bella's looking even more deathly. Carla tells Bella that the fetus isn't compatible with her body. It's too strong and it won't allow you to get the nutrition you need. It's starving you by the hour and I can't stop it and I can't slow it down. At this rate, your heart will give out out before you can deliver. So at this point, it's real sad. Like, it's sad boy hours for Edward because his baby mama is gonna die because she refuses to abort the thing. That's fine. Pro-choice means you gotta respect the choice either way. And Bella says she's just gonna hold on as long as she can, but Carlisle says there's some conditions that not even venom can help. So Edward's telling Bella that he can't live without her. She says, you won't have to, you'll have a part of me. And he says, do you honestly think I could love it or even tolerate it after it killed you? It's not the baby's fault, Edward. Let's not forget that this part of the baby that's a monster comes from you. It's your responsibility that she's pregnant in the first place. Let's harsh down. Can't help that it's a blood-sucking monster. Sorry, I can't take Kristen seriously in this scene. It just looks so ridiculous. Like, how did they get her to look like this? So she tells Edward that he just needs to accept what is, and he says, you've given me no choice. Billy, we're supposed to be partners, remember? But you've decided this on your own. You've decided to leave me. And she says, don't see it that way. And he says, well, I have no other way to see it. Because it'll be me who loses you, and I don't choose that. And then he storms out, and Bella's left there just looking real depressed. Honestly, though, this is the first time he's yelled at her, and I do understand why he's upset. I feel like it's just a really difficult situation on both ends because they want different things. But like a lot of this could have been resolved if they just like fetus deletus that thing as soon as she fell pregnant. But now it's got a brain and a heart and feelings and emotions. So it's like a difficult situation. But at the same time, I think from the get-go, Bella was like, whoa, I never thought I was going to get pregnant because I'm with a vampire. This is a miracle. I gotta let this shit happen. But you're not even going to be around to see the child. Or your man's. So really, what's the win-win situation in this? There isn't one. You're all losing. This part is where it gets actually borderline traumatizing for me. Bella looks like terrifying. Like, she looks like a skeleton with skin, and her face is so gaunt. Is Breaking Into a Part 1 a horror movie? Don't watch this movie while you're pregnant. I can't get pregnant. I don't have those parts, but if I could, this would freak me out. And then Jake is being his angsty little self all over again. Bella smiles at him, and he's like, don't do that. Smile at me like I'm your favorite person in the world. Shut up, Jacob. Why do you have to make everything so bitchy and moany? Oh, didn't you say you weren't coming back because you didn't want to stick around to see how this ends? Why didn't you keep that promise? Bitch, leave. There's the door. Bella's like, you're one of my favorite people, Jake. It feels complete when you're here. Well, after what he just said, she's still gonna be all lovey-dovey with it. I don't understand that relationship, and I never will. So then Bella's feeling really sick, and they're talking about how they need to find a way to get, food into their system, and they were like, maybe we could just figure out what it wants. And then Edward reads Jacob's thoughts, and Jacob's like, oh no, that was just a snide comment. And Edward's like, no, that's a good idea. So they go and give Bella some blood. I understand she's got to do what she's got to do to survive, but like, she went into this real fucking quick. Like, she didn't even seem that apprehensive. You're still human. You're not even a vampire. Maybe it's because she's with the vampire. She doesn't think it's that big of a deal. But like, if somebody asked me to drink blood, I'd be like, bitch, I'm out of here. Like, you ain't gonna make me drink that shit. Like, when you get a cut in the inside of your mouth, that shit is nasty. Anyway, she goes ahead and drinks some O-negative blood, which is actually my blood type, so. Why do I feel weird saying that on the internet? Oh well. So she loves it. She's all like, so juicy. As soon as she drinks it, her pulse is already getting stronger. It's working. We cut to a shot with a bin full of blood bags, so we know she is going on a blood binge. Okay. I don't understand, like, if you were a human, like, scientifically, and you were drinking blood, that can't be good for you, right? Has there ever been a human who, like, was obsessed with being a vampire or whatever, and they actually drank blood? Like, what would happen? That's what I want to know, because that's fucking gross to me. So then she's on the phone with Charlie, and we see that her face looks even worse. She kind of is giving, like, fairy Alvin and the Chipmunks, the Chipettes kind of vibe here. Because that doesn't even look like Kristen Stewart anymore, which upsets me, because Kristen Stewart is beautiful. She was my first girl crush, so this is painful for me. So Bella tells Charlie she's going to a medical center in Switzerland, which I think is funny because of what she said in Eclipse, where she's like, from now on I'm like Switzerland, when Jacob and Edward are fighting. Charlie's like, no, Bella, you're not going to Switzerland. I'm getting on a plane. And she says, no, it's really more of just like a spa. Please, Dad, picture me healthy, eating pizza on the couch with you. So yeah, then she hangs up. It's all very sad. At this point, Charlie's gonna be real sus. Like, he's like, my daughter just got married to this weird guy from high school that she met who acts kind of strange and has these really weird yellow contacts, and his adopted siblings all date each other, and they live out in the woods, and they also just randomly appeared in town a couple years ago. They left town that one time, and my daughter went super depressed, but then they came back. Like, what's going on? So Edward comes to apologize for being so angry, and he's leveling with Bella, all this kind of stuff, and says he's sorry for leaving her alone. And then Edward thinks he heard something, and he realizes that it's the thoughts coming from the baby. Him and Bella Bella are like bonding over this moment. Edward's like, he's not like me, he's like you, good and pure, and he's happy. And she's like, of course you're happy, like how could you not be, we love you so much. And it would be a really endearing moment if it wasn't for the fact that I'm so distracted by Bella's face looking like a meerkat. Jacob overhears the situation and he goes to talk to Carla and Esme. They're telling him that Bella could deliver as early as tomorrow, and if she needs any chance she'll need some more blood and they need to feed. But Jacob's telling them, Sam won't hesitate, you will be slaughtered if you leave. But Carla tells Jacob they have no choice, and if there's anything they can do to save Bella, they will. And he said, you'd risk your lives for her? And they're like, of course we would. Bella is a part of our family now. So cute. I wonder if they're gonna like actually adopt her. Well, you probably can't adopt someone if they're over the age of 18. Is that adoption thing a cover-up story? Because they're all way over the age of 18. How does that even work? Like, how does their social security number work? Their IDs, their passports? How the hell did Carlisle get his medical license when he's like 200, 300 years old? The vampires in Twilight don't have compulsion like the ones in Vampire Diaries. So how the fuck do they get around doing all this stuff? I guess they must have just a lot of connections. So then Jacob goes to talk to the wolves and basically tells them once Bella gives birth to the baby, he will destroy it himself. We'll see about that. But the wolves realize that Jacob was actually distracting them so that the Cullens could leave to go and hunt. Oh my god, why don't the Cullens just drink the wolves' bloods? I guess the wolves would probably kill them. Oh wait, but that would kind of mean they're eating humans. Ugh, it's all so confusing. So then Bella asks Jacob how he's doing, and then Jacob once again becomes a fucking asshole and says, yeah, I'm good. It's not like I'm the one carrying the demon. What is wrong with him? Like, why do they even keep him around? He's quite literally such a prick. Oh, my hate for Jacob just grows with every film. So then Bella wants to tell Jacob about her baby names, and she says that for a boy, she chose EJ, Edward Jacob. How would Edward feel about part of the name of his child coming from that creepy possessive friend of Bella's that won't take the hint and keeps trying to get with her? Like, I'd be like, bitch the fuck no, you're not naming my child after this prick. But Edward seems unfazed. Seems a bit unrealistic to me. And then for the girl's name, she's playing around with the mom's names, Renee and Esme, and came up with Renesmee. I don't care which way we all swing it. Like, we may be like, it's Twilight, we love Twilight, but that's a fucking hideous name. Renesmee? Hey, what's up, y'all? It's me, Renesmee. Like, what? No. So then Bella drops her blood sippy cup, and the baby's like, give it to me. So she goes to pick it up and quite literally breaks her back. Her body snaps in multiple places, she falls to the ground, and Edward goes to catch her head. It's literally a horror scene. Like, this entire scene was just like so traumatic for me to watch at 11 years old. Ugh, I did have parental guidance, it's all good, guys. So because Carlisle, Esme, Emmett, and Jasper are hunting, it's just Alice, Rosalie, and Edward here with Bella. And of course Jacob, but who needs him? And Alice is on the phone with Carlisle saying he's coming as fast as he can. Placenta must have detached. They're giving her morphine, and I hate this part. So Rosalie just gets a fucking scalpel, which looks like a Stanley knife. That doesn't even look medical. And she goes and slices open her stomach because the baby's dying, and Bella's like, get him out. And we all know that Rosalie doesn't really give a shit about Bella's safety. She just wants that fetus peditus out because she can't have her own baby, so she wants to project her mama bearness onto Bella's kid. But Rosalie can't handle the smell of the blood. Girl, get a grip. Edward pushes her aside, and Alice takes her out by the throat. Alice is like, you're not gonna touch my Bella. So Jacob tells Edward to turn her, and he says that he can't while she's still in there, and he has to get him out first. I'm getting the genders confused because, like, we don't, like, whatever, baby. And then he says, stay focused, keep your heart beating. This is something I never understand about movies and shows where people are dying, where they're like, keep your heart beating, stay strong. Do you really have a choice on the matter? Like, I don't know if it works like that. I've never died, so who knows. So then the baby's suffocating, and Edward bites his way through the stomach. It's a lot. There's like bones crunching, it's bloody, it's messy, it's a full-on horror fest. And then we get the baby, and he says, it's Renesmee. Okay, so that's cool, it's not a boy, you were wrong all along. Shouldn't have put such intense gender norms on your baby. So then Bella's holding the baby for the first time, so cute, until the baby fucking bites her. It wasn't enough eating her from the inside out, now you gotta get a little taste while she's fucking bleeding after you. I'm mad at a baby. Let's blame Edward. Edward being a 109-year-old virgin, he obviously didn't understand safe sex. So Bella's smiling at the baby, and her smile fades, and she's a goner. She's dead. And Jacob starts giving her mouth to mouth, probably just because he wants to kiss her. And Edward tells Jacob to take the baby, which I don't know why he would do that. It's fucking Jacob. Don't give Jacob your baby. We don't know how he feels about babies. But Jacob just says, keep that thing away from me. And then Rosalie takes the baby, and then they're there looking at Bella's corpse, and Edward gets a giant syringe, shoves it in her heart, and pushes it in. How would he have even gotten that? Did he just stick a needle in himself? Did he stick it in his fang? Oh wait, they don't have fangs. Look, there's so much that needs to be explained that we will never get. And this shot especially, like her like skinny ass legs and the blood all over the... so bad. And then while Edward's literally miserable over his wife's corpse, Jacob just has to dig the knife in a little further and says, says, I won't kill you. That'd be too easy. You deserve to live with this. Like, Jacob, why are you still here? Like, just leave. So then Jacob goes outside and cries and shows some actual emotions for once that isn't just anger. So this part's actually really sad. Edward's like over Bella's corpse, like, please, please, it's gotta work. He's like kissing her. He starts... Sorry. That part was sad. This part is weird. He starts munching on every part of her body. He's just like... like on a fucking corn cob, like that's what he's doing, but with her limbs. So then we see the vampire venom start to travel its way through Bella's body. Interesting, we know something's happening. And it's really interesting because we get this kind of clip of her like screaming, but then it'll cut to her being deadpan. And I guess it's to like show what she's feeling on the inside. It's... Once again, it's giving horror. But yeah, ultimately, she's not waking up yet, and Edward's really sad about it, and it's very sad. I feel bad for him. So then Jacob goes and, I guess, wants to kill the baby. It's giving Uncanny Valley. It's giving Sims 4 baby. It's just not looking real, but it also is. And then he drops to his knees and imprints on the baby. Stephanie Meyer, what were you smoking when you wrote this? So we get all these clips with Renesmee when she's older, and we get this voiceover from Jacob, and he says, your whole center shifts. Suddenly it's not the earth holding you here. You do anything, be anything she needs. So then the Cullens go outside because the wolves are wanting to come and kill them because Bella died under their care. And they want to kill the baby as well. But Edward's all like, I won't let them hurt my family. And then they start having a big fight. We'll have a little fight with the wolves and the vamps. However, all I can think about in my head is how this was all CGI'd, and they all would have been fighting with a bunch of like potato sacks, but that's just me. So while the fight is reaching its end and like the Cullens are basically about to lose, Jacob jumps outside and says, stop, it's over. If you kill her, you kill me. And then he turns into a wolf, given a statement, and Edward says, Jacob imprinted, they can't hurt her. Whoever a wolf imprints on can't be hurt. It's the most absolute law. Okay, seems convenient. So then Breaking Dawn happens. See what they did there. And Bella's getting a little sponge bath. And they're saying she shouldn't be this still. But Carl says it's the morphine. So I guess the morphine is kind of keeping her like in a coma. I love this scene actually. We get her like skinny, skeletal, decaying body. She starts to transform. Her hair gets back its color. Her skin loses the bite marks. All of her veins start to get all that vampiric icy venom covering them. And we get to see her ribs go back together, getting her cheeks back, gets a full face of makeup all of a sudden. Okay. They make all these visions, which is basically like visions of Bella's life. So I guess it's her remembering her human life. We get this cute shot of Charlie and Bella's mom with Bella when she was a baby. I love that. And then her body fully vampirifies and she breathes. And all the Cullens are like, OMG. And then the camera goes to Bella's eyes and they open. And it's red. After a couple credits, we get the scene with the Volturi where this lady is going up to the three of them and gives them a letter. And Arrow says, oh, it's from Carlisle. He's added a new member to his coven, increasing his power. At least our dispute with the Cullens is over. Our dispute goes far beyond the fate of a mere human. And what might it be? Why, brother, I thought you understood. They have something I want. He wants Alice for her powers. I get it. You know, she does see the future. If you could gaze into the future. So that's the end of the movie. So overall, Breaking Dawn Part 1, the only part that I actually like is the wedding and the honeymoon. Everything else I don't like. All of this pregnancy stuff, this horror movie, it's traumatizing. It's the pro-life propaganda from Stephanie Meyer, she's a Mormon, my assumptions, and I just don't like it. It's scary, it's gross, I don't love this decaying body of Bella where every couple scenes she just looks even worse and scarier, and it's just sad to watch and not enjoyable. It doesn't fit into my vision for Edward and Bella's love story. So I am excited for the next movie because I love Breaking Dawn Part 2, but I'm also sad because it's the last one. But what do you guys think of Breaking Dawn Part 1? I think it's a weird one in this series. It just feels so far removed in my opinion. But you know what? Your boy needs to go to sleep. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, comment down below your thoughts, subscribe if you haven't already, click that post notifications bell. All my social media links in the description, as well as my merch, second channel, podcast, and Cameo. And check out my last videos if you haven't already. And that's it for me in this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that you have a great day or night wherever you're on the world. Bye!